Hello everyone. So this was the in this video we are going to see the study the match between the Arjun Erigaisi and Alexander Indiz from the Olympiad 2024 held at Budapest. So this was a match of the team India versus team Serbia. So in this game Arjun was playing with the black, Alexander Indiz was playing the white. Now the game started with the reti opening, that is knight f3, d5, g3, knight c6. This is not very nice move because it is actually blocking the pawn on c file, black's pawn on c5, d4, bishop goes to f5, bishop g2, knight goes to b4. This is the king's Indian attack, and now you can see there is a double attack on the pawn on c2, so that there we can have fork for to king as well as rook on the a rook at the a1. So here the only way to mitigate this attack is by playing the knight a3, but this disadvantage is that knight is going away from the center, so this is not very ideal exciting square for the knight of the white. Arjun looking for some development by playing d6, sorry, e6. Now white kicks out knight back with the c3, knight goes back, knight c6, queen b3, attacking a pawn on b2, b7, rook goes to b8, defends the b7 pawn, knight goes to h4. So here the white is looking some kind of exchange with the bishop. Anyway, is not a very nice square for the white, so he definitely white wants to exchange his knight, but black refuses to exchange with the knight, so he goes to e4. White plays f3, bishop goes to g6. White captures with the knight, knight into g3, g6, then h into g6. Now white plays e4. So here you can see the white bishop from the black square is very powerful also, but there are some kind of weaknesses on some of the squares of the white, that is e1, sorry, e2, e3, d2 and d3. Knight f6, bishop goes to g5, pinning the knight. Arjun removes the pin with the bishop e7. Now here there are two options. Black can take with the bishop, as well as black can take with the pawn on the g file. So here we can see that if we take it from the bishop, then we are not getting much advantage. We would actually got an invitation, actually inviting e pawn on the e5 square. Anyway, so this is not a very good idea in that way. So if we play g takes f6, then what are the things we are achieving? We are actually trying to put more control over the center. Also we are actually creating a square for a king, so that the eighth rank can be opened up for rooks or queen movements. So that's why this is the better move, that if it by taking the bishop with the pawn here from the g5, g into f6, then e into d5, knight goes back to c2, trying to white is getting knight in the game. Knight a5, queen b5 check, c6, making three things here: attacking the queen, blocking the check, and as well as defending the knight with the queen. Knight goes back to e2. Bishop, now knight is now black takes knight from a file to c file, trying to get good squares at the center, attacking good squares on the center, also pawn on the b2. White kicks out knight by playing b3. Knight goes back on the d6. Now you can see knight is actually very good situated on the square d6. It can control both powerful squares uh, like e4, c4, then b5 and f5. So e9 is well supported from the queen and the bishop. White castles. Black doesn't castle. Because why? Because the black rook has anyway semi-open foil. So if we castle here, then it is like demoting the getting some extra points from the rook. So instead of that, king black removes the king from the e file, and because there is attack on that is there is attack queen attack on the e file. Knight goes back to e1. Queen goes to a5. So here now queen is trying to attack c3 pawn. White defends rook c1. Knight g5, trying to get some pressure on the trying to get some access on the e3 square. Then white plays b4. Queen goes to c7. Then white plays f4. Now black tries to clear the a file by playing a5. White a3. Rook goes to e8, attacking the queen, trying to put pressure on the queen. Queen removes himself from the attack, from the pressure, with the queen d2. Knight goes back to a d6. He is looking for no more powerful square on the c4. Then white knight goes to c2. Now black plays f5. Here there is a one point to look into, because this was anyway there was a one's position where he could have, instead of playing the knight on the f5, he could have pushed knight. He could have pushed pawn on the f5. But if that was the case, because at that time knight was on the e1 square, so from the e1 knight could have got to d3, then he could have got to e5. So this was a more more powerful square for the white knight. So that's why Arjun waited for to get rid of to get, Arjun waited white to move knight from the e1 square. Now if white wants to regain that powerful square, then he has to play a lot of moves with the play a lot of moves with the knight to get it back. So it will actually create or it will waste white's time in terms of moves. Rook f e1. King goes to g7. Rook e2. Rook a8. Rook e1. Here now bishop goes to f6. Here you can see that most of the squares like e4, e5, e6, e7 are actually e8 actually controlled by the black. So they, and also black king is very much protected, so it will be difficult to launch attack on the king side for the white. Rook e2. A into b4. A into b4. Now there is a open file for the a open file for the rook. Rook goes to a2, attack, putting some pressure on the knight on queen. Rook e1, rook h8, rook a1, uh, queen b6, eyeing d4 pawn, also putting some pressure on the b4. rook goes to uh, rook goes to b1, rook at a4, queen goes to c1. Then queen goes to black king goes to a7, tripling the attack on the a5. rook into a2, rook into a2, rook b2, knight goes to b5, putting good pressure on. Now there is a triple attack, knight on the d4 pawn, from the knight, from the queen, and from the bishop. Here idea can be getting some sacrifice on the on the getting some sacrifice with the one of the pieces, getting two pawns and trying to create some kind of fort like situation. Or the black can even take undefended c3 pawn. Instead of exchanging, white plays b3, supporting the b3 c3 pawn. So this was the final blow from the Arjun, by taking knight into c3. So in this way, even if white takes on the c3, then that's what happens. That's what happens. We can see there are some multiple things here can happen. Bishop can take uh, bishop can take this pawn. There are some of the attacks. Let's see. Rook into c3, bishop into d4, knight into d4, and this is where white resigns. So because he is now losing the queen. Here there can be a line where he could have done something like this. He plays anyway this. Then he could have avoided he could have avoided things like doing this. But anyway, he is losing the piece, so he could have done things anyway there is a check, so he could have done something like this, right? So in that case as well, in that case as well, there is weakness over the a1 pawn, sorry, a1 square. So and anyway in that case, white is losing the material. Here could have done something like this. Then he would have got somewhere here. So anyway, white has black has upper hand over this. So in the main game, white plays knight into knight into knight into d4, and with the rook a1, white actually loses the queen. So and white resigns. So thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, subscribe the channel, and add some comments what feedback you can give. All feedbacks are welcome. Thank you so much.